Hello. Okay, episode 3 of this season. If the last episode was about becoming more neutral and a little more untouchable in things, this episode is about what happens when life actually starts asking more of you. So, in the first episode, we really talked about the middle, right? The middle of uncertainty is now here. You have to start believing in yourself. Your results aren't coming in yet, and how to look at that differently. The last episode was just kind of the idea of like, when life starts to challenge you, you need to stay neutral. You need to take everything as an opportunity. And today we're talking about pressure and making sure that when you start building that more and you get more responsibility, you're nailing it, not collapsing underneath it. So, when we talk about pressure, we're going to do it today in a way that most people don't talk about because I think pressure has gotten a really bad reputation because most of us completely misunderstand what's happening when it shows up. So if you are someone who you've ever felt like you were doing, decently well, but then suddenly started dropping the ball, this episode is for you. So for most of us, pressure at some point in our lives has probably felt like overwhelm and stress and too much and I don't know if I can keep up and I feel like I'm juggling 14 plates and about to drop the ball. And I actually want to offer you a totally different lens. I have learned this so much in the last 18 months specifically because what I really did in the last 18 months and when I guess I started doing was I started realizing that I needed to shut down my business and I needed to start a new business. And in so much of that time, I actually stopped selling for a while and I knew my income was going to drop and it did. And I took on that risk. I took on the risk of, you know what? I'd rather earn money doing this right than earn what I'm currently earning doing it wrong. And I have to be in integrity for me. So in that time where I was figuring it out, I was pretty much like, I will not make a single penny if it's out of integrity with where I know I need to go. And so my income went down and pressure started building, right? I have a team to pay. I live in New York City. I have a nice lifestyle, I'm not gonna lie. And so of course I scaled some of that back, but at the end of the day, I still live in New York City and I still have a team to pay. And I still have to pay myself. So that pressure built there. And I had this time where I was now like, okay, I'm going to build an entirely new business, which is now Fieta. And the pressure was just on. It was on to do it well. It was on to execute. But in that time, I had to really start learning that pressure isn't a sign that something's wrong. Pressure is a sign that your life is expanding. And whether pressure becomes something that sharpens you or something that breaks you, and it breaks your momentum, has everything to do with how you relate to it. So here's what I see happen all the time, especially with those who really want to build something big in their lives, is you start going harder. You start taking on a little more, stretching into a bigger season, putting yourself out there more, trying to become that next version of yourself. And for a while, it feels really good, right? That beginning. We already talked about the middle. So at the beginning, it feels really good. And then the middle comes and things start to shift. Maybe not dramatically, maybe not in a, I'm going to burn everything down kind of way, but subtly, where the gym starts to get skipped, you might sleep a little less, your routine kind of loosens up, you start procrastinating on things you normally wouldn't, you scroll, you avoid a little more. And I think people just usually hit this point where you start feeling resistance to doing the things that actually make you feel good and actually get you results. And people want to hop back in, but now they're feeling a little guilt, a little shame, a little frustration. And I know this is happening because one of my reels that it hit over 1 million people was on the topic of if you low key avoid the things that would change your life. So I know this is a hot topic, but that low grade feeling of like, oh, what's wrong with me? And why can't I just do the things that I know would help me? This is what I need you to hear if you've been there. That moment does not mean you're regressing. It means you hit a new edge. So when life expands and you want to go bigger, your nervous system doesn't magically just get better at handling it. It gets tested. It gets put under the pressure cooker a little bit where you have more stimulation, more demand, more responsibility, more unknowns, and there's almost just like there's more load on you. And under more load or pressure than we're used to, especially for an extended period of time, your nervous system is often going to want to default to what it knows best, which is your well-rehearsed patterns. And where people go wrong here is they start to think they have mindset problems or discipline problems or they can't handle things and then they get overwhelmed and then they feel like they're failing because this happened and they start to pull back. But what they miss is that pressure was just trying to reveal to you where you still need to grow. And I'm so adamant on this because it really changed my life. Pressure is not bad. Pressure is so good because it reveals things to you. Pressure is going to show you where you can stretch yourself a little more, and that's actually really important information. So let me say this in like a really simple human way. When you want bigger things, more money, more confidence, more responsibility, more consistency, it's not just about wanting them. It's about what you can handle. So often people just decide they want more, but then they're almost like surprised when things feel heavier in life. When there's more pressure, more moments where you don't get instant feedback or reassurance, more unknowns, and that's not because something's wrong. That's literally just what bigger feels like. And when that stretch shows up, it can feel uncomfortable in these really subtle ways. And you might notice yourself avoiding and procrastinating and dropping habits that were helping you. And it's not because you're regressing. It's not because you don't care. It's just because part of you is adjusting to holding more. And that's what people misread. They feel that stretch and they think maybe I can't handle this, or maybe I took on too much, or maybe I just need to slow down. But what's really happening is you're being asked to expand. You're being asked for your system to learn how to operate at a higher level. It's not a character flaw. It's not a discipline issue. It's not a mindset problem. It's just a new edge. And the only way you ever get comfortable at that new edge is by staying there long enough for it to stop feeling unfamiliar. But if you start thinking, maybe I need to pull back, rather than holding through that, you end up retreating. And so when you have to meet that lesson again, which you will, because you still want that same big thing, that same pattern will play out. And eventually you'll start calling it self-sabotage. And it is sabotage. But what's really happening is that you have an untrained pressure response. When pressure shows up, you are untrained and therefore you back down. So what ends up playing out is a small lapse in your nervous system and your ability to hold it in your capacity ends up becoming this character issue. One missed habit becomes self-shame and overthinking and stories where you can't handle things, and now it's a much bigger identity problem than it needs to be. And so what then happens is that when pressure exposed a signal to you, it exposed an area of growth. Rather than adjusting your approach, you've personalized it. You've made it about who you are and what you can handle instead of stepping up to the challenge, which is exactly what we talked about in the last episode. And then because you never address the signal and you never realize pressure is trying to help you, the pattern repeats. You meet that same pressure again, you retreat again. And the same pressure again, and you retreat again. You get stuck meeting the same lesson, the same stretch over and over and over for months, if not years. And on the topic of pressure, I feel like I have to talk about this. I want to rock your world a little bit. So, a lot of the people, and I want you to literally think about if this is you. Are you someone who says that I work well under pressure? Because a lot of people who say that they work well under pressure are actually the people who do the worst under pressure. They're so bad under pressure. And this used to be me. I was terrible, terrible with pressure, but I was always saying that I worked well under pressure. So, what people who say this are actually good at is avoiding pressure until it becomes so unbearable that they're forced to face it. Or they only can do well once they have to shame themselves into it. It's not that you're good under pressure. It is that you have such deep avoidance patterns when it comes to pressure that you end up creating conditions in which you can only do the work at the last minute once overwhelm has become so large that you can't avoid it. So it's like that those deadlines, that last minute adrenaline, the feeling of like, shit, I have no choice now. You don't work well under pressure. You put your body into low grade fight or flight mode from how much you ran from pressure in the first place, bestie. That's reacting to pressure. That is the untrained pressure response. Working well under pressure. And again, I had to learn this the last 18 months or so. Working well under pressure actually looks like staying grounded and present and steady, even when things are demanding. It looks like taking on more responsibility and rising to the occasion, not waiting until the last second, feeling overwhelmed the whole time and hoping things work out and then bracing for the worst case scenario. You don't work well under pressure if you're doing that. You actually have an untrained pressure response. And this is the big frame of this episode that I want you leaning into. I want all my listeners listening to this and being like, shit, Mackenzie taught me how to like pressure. I like pressure now. That's what I want you walking away feeling. I want you to chase pressure. Because if you want big things, all the big things, the bigger career, the more income, the bigger personal brand, the successful business, being your fittest, multiple streams of income, then know that big things come with a big stretch. There's no version of the bigger life that you want that doesn't ask for more of you. And that's really cool. Because the truth is this acts as a filter. I've said it a couple times this last month, but everyone wants big success. Wanting big success is not rare anymore, but being someone who builds it is. And I think a lot of people don't understand this. They want big things until they see what's required of them. Then what ends up happening is they start to show that they actually just wanted the outcome, but they did not want the stretch. And if you only want the outcome, but you don't want the stretch, you don't ever get the outcome. So the key here is becoming someone who likes the stretch, who seeks the stretch, who handles the pressure, who loves it, not fears it. So to me, I've taught myself that if there's pressure, if I'm being stressed, it must mean that I'm on the right path. God, the universe, my guardian angel's life is handing me an opportunity to have what I want. And guys, for years, I ignored these opportunities. I would crumble, I would avoid, I would run from the stretch. And I'm a huge believer that God, the universe, guardian angels will keep handing me this opportunity to learn and to stretch, but it's up to me to take it. And the pressure is not random. It's not a punishment. And I need you to stop making it as a sign that you can't handle things and you don't have what it takes. Pressure, feeling that pressure, having that stretch, it's an invitation. It is God, the universe, life saying, okay, you said you wanted more. Can you hold this? Show us you can hold this and we'll give it to you. And that's where people get twisted. They feel the stretch and think this is too much, this is wrong, I need to pull back, and they crumble under it. But the people who actually get what they want think something very different. This is what I have trained myself to think. I have trained myself to start thinking when pressure shows up, it means I'm on the right path. This is what it feels like to grow. This is where I'm being built. So pressure ends up becoming this confirmation. It becomes this really good sign to me that things are going right. It's not something to fear. It's something to recognize. And what I've seen over and over in my own life and then with my clients is that if you can just hold a little longer, if you can stay steady instead of reacting, if you can lead yourself the way the version of you and who you admire would lead themselves, you actually get what you want. Not because you forced it, not because you were hustling, but because you didn't run when it got uncomfortable. This is why people who build big lives don't wait until they feel ready. They just move well under pressure. They don't collapse under responsibility. They rise to it. And they don't see pressure as this sign to slow down. They see it as a signal to lock in because the pressure is how you're built. And pressure doesn't have to feel like suffering. It can feel like challenge, like focus, like, okay, I'm in it. Because pressure means that you're being trained to handle what you said you wanted. You're becoming that person. But if every time pressure shows up, you interpret it as danger, of course you're going to want to escape it. Of course you're going to pull back and avoid and scroll and tell yourself maybe next week or maybe next time. And then you'll keep meeting that same lesson, same stretch, same moment, same lesson you're going to have to meet over and over and over, just a different year. So the life you want, it's very full. And fullness requires you to be able to hold that. And this is my classic example that I've always used. When I started my business, 5 clients felt like a lot, right? It felt like a lot of clients to manage. Now I have over 100 clients and it feels like less than 5 because I grew my capacity. I grew myself. I stretched myself enough that now 20 times the amount feels like less. So I want you to not buy into this idea of like, having what I want is going to be so hard and it's going to require so much of me. And I don't know if I can handle that. Like it doesn't require more. It's not heavy. It's not too much. You end up growing into being someone who can handle it. Guys, when I face pressure now, it's something where I genuinely think this is who I am now. I'm someone who responds like this. And right now, guys, I'm in such a stretch season right now. I've set these huge goals of launching the podcast again. I've been running 3 different programs. I've made 6 or so courses, maybe even 7 in the past 4 months. I've spent about 4 weeks of that traveling, another 6 weekend trips. I'm starting to plan a wedding and I'm about to move abroad for the summer and I'm having to plan and manage that. And on top of that, I'm trying to add $20,000 to my monthly income and lean out in under 90 days. Like it's a lot. I'm being stretched. But my goal is that what this stretch is right now will be no big deal to me one day. But for me to get there, I have to keep going through it. And every time I start to feel that stretch and feel a little overwhelmed or like a little scattered or a little like, oh my God, can I handle this? Instead, I just flip it to, this is what I prayed for. This is the path. I'm right where I'm meant to be with this. I'm going to hold it because I want what's on the other side. If God and the universe are giving me this opportunity, they're giving me the opportunity that I prayed for, I'm not gonna mess it up. I'm going to take it. I'm going to win every day and spend every chance that I get handling this well and steady and level-headed and regulated and calm and confident. Like, I got this. I'm not going to break under it. And that doesn't mean that it's not uncomfortable or I don't wobble, but I end up becoming someone who handles pressure like it's part of my identity. I enjoy the process. versus what I used to do and what so many do of crumbling under pressure and stressing themselves out and deprioritizing their well-being and feeling like they're going to fail. At some point, like, you have to stop asking yourself, how do I get through this? And you have to start asking, who do I want to be inside this? That's when pressure stops feeling like all this chaos and starts feeling like something that you enjoy. And it's this beautiful opportunity to actually get everything that you want. So when pressure shows up, ask yourself, what is this revealing? What is being asked of me to learn, to stretch, to grow that I haven't trained yet? That's what I want you thinking about. So if this episode felt good for you, it felt a little grounding, it felt like a permission slip, and you want to become that person who handles it well, it's because part of you knows that this is how you're meant to move through life. You can be calm under pressure. You can stay steady inside the stretch. And that's what Fiera is. It's for the women who don't want to fight themselves, the guys who don't want to fight themselves anymore, who don't want success to feel heavy or chaotic. Because truly, guys, I've been at this for years. I've never burnt out. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. So much of it is so fun. And inside Fiera, it's not about handling pressure. It's learning how to trust yourself in the bigger seasons. It's learning how to make this whole process feel expansive instead of stressful. It's not only about doing more, it's about becoming someone who does different while doing bigger things. So if you want to start moving like this, that's your cue. Come join Fiera and genuinely ask yourself, why do I keep waiting? Why do I keep holding off on this? Why do I not let myself join? And see what comes up. Because the people who join, they get results fast. Every single person thinks it can't be them, and every single person wonders if it's going to work for them, and every single person thinks that they're not going to be the one with big results. And then all my clients come to me in tears or so elated or so happy very quickly that they're the winner now. And it's not because you ever lacked ability. It's just how you respond and how you think and who you become. And in Fiera, we're all about action. It's not mindset stuff. It is literally every single day. No matter what tier you join, I give you 365 days of the year, a new action, a new riff, a new move to take, a new way to approach life so that you're actually being stretched. It's not just you watch some videos and you feel nice about things, right? It is literally you rewiring your nervous system. It is stretching your nervous system. It is learning how to become regulated. It is building that self-respect. It is building the business, the brand, the body, the bank account that you really want. So if you want to become this person, I invite you to join. I think you'll love it inside. And I hope you like this episode. So if you loved it, if you've been enjoying it, what I want you to do is do me a solid and screenshot the episode, share it on your stories on Instagram, share it anywhere, tell people in your life that you're listening to it so that they can listen to it too. And you guys can do this work together. And it would just mean the world. And if you could rate the podcast as well, 5 stars, that would be great. And I will catch you guys in the next episode. And thank you so, so much for listening.